Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Lymph Balance Center's Summer Speaker Series. We're here this evening with Joss Willard of Joss Willard Coaching, and we've had a wonderful Summer Speaker Series so far this year in 2021. And going into mid-August here, we still have a lot of speakers coming up on our Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday evening starting at 7 o'clock. So if you don't know the upcoming events, please follow us on Lymph Balance on our Facebook page, or you can go to our website at www.lymphbalance.com and you can see all the upcoming talks, and feel free to register for as many as you want. They're all free and we are recording all of them. So they are also found on our YouTube channel, which is Lymph Balance Center as well. So without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to my friend, my colleague, and networking coach, basically, of Joss Willard. And we're going to go into a great talk about how to get book solid in just 15 minutes a day. And even on the side note, you can do this in your bathrobe is what I've heard. So I'm going to pass it off to Joss.
Thanks, Robin. Hey, everybody. How you doing? I am Joss Willard, and that is my lovely face, I guess. And Joss Willard Coaching is my business. I do have a brand that this particular presentation is under called Profit for Coaches by Joss Willard. So we like my name. So moving on. So who am I? Like, what do I know about anything? Well, I am the founder of Profit for Coaches, which is both a system specifically for helping coaches, obviously, consultants, experts, service-based business owners build a business that will allow them to make and keep a good, solid mid to high six-figure income, working 25 to 35 hours a week, most of that with clients, right? So I've built that. And I also have a podcast that I've built around that. You can hear that. Go to profitforcoaches.com/podcast, and you can hear all the episodes there or catch them on any of the podcatchers that you listen to. I also happen to be a certified advanced Profit First professional and Profit First coach. And I am a certified Book Yourself Solid coach. What the hell does that mean? And why do we care? Well, let's talk about Book Yourself Solid. What does it mean? That's kind of the basis of what we're going to learn tonight. Book Yourself Solid is a system. It is a system designed to help service professionals, for the most part, but almost anybody, create a steady stream of ideal clients coming to them. It consists of a lot of parts. In fact, there's about 16 parts, and we teach them in 4 different modules. I'm not going to cover all of them today. What we're going to cover is I'm cherry picking a few things that you can use to help you get more clients. All right. So to start with, though, I want you to understand that Book Yourself Solid is based on 3 principles, 2 philosophical, 1 of them practical. The first philosophical principle is there are some people that you are meant to serve and others, not so much. And part of our job is to make sure that we serve the not so muches best by moving them on to the people who are meant to serve them. What are not so muches? Not so muches are those clients that suck the life out of you, or those clients that you take on because you needed the money, right? Those people that maybe you can't do quite your best work with. We'll get into more of that in a little bit. The second philosophical principle is that the Book Yourself Solid system, and by extension, the Profit for Coaches system, it's a love story disguised as a business system. Basically, we want your ideal clients to fall in love with you. We want you to fall in love with your business and your clients. And we want you to fall in love just a little bit with marketing and selling, even if you really hate marketing and selling. Speaking of marketing and selling, the practical principle, the third principle, this is the one that my good friends who are in the marketing business always flinch when I say this. Marketing does not get you clients. And I joke, my marketing friends don't always flinch because the ones that know me and that I talk to on a regular basis understand what I mean by this. What do I mean by this? Marketing's job is to create awareness of you and what you have to offer in front of the people that should be buying from you, right? That doesn't in itself get you clients. We need to do it. We need to create awareness. But quite frankly, you can create awareness by lighting your hair on fire and running down the street in your underwear. People will pay attention. But because that's not relevant to what they need, odds are they're not going to buy from you, right? So before we get into the marketing that I'm going to teach you, the marketing tools that I'm going to teach you that help to bring clients into you, or bring prospects in that you can turn into clients, I want to talk a little bit about what you need to have as a foundation underneath it. So why marketing doesn't get you clients? I covered some of this: awareness and attention versus being relevant. What really gets people to buy from you is when your message is relevant to them. Well, how do we make sure that our message is relevant to the people that we're talking to? There are a number of ways. What most of us try to do, though, is we try to just create a message and fire it out there. We call it the marketing first focus, right? And what the marketing first focus gets wrong is that we think we need to create a lot of noise. We need to get out in front of as many people as possible. And any good marketing person who knows what they're doing, people like Tony, who's actually here tonight, she's a strategist. She's brilliant at what she does. And she will tell you, it's not about getting in front of as many eyeballs as possible. It's about getting in front of the right eyeballs, getting in front of the people to whom what you do and who you are matters. So what most people get wrong when they go into marketing is they try to create this single glowing avatar client, right? Or client avatar, depending on how you want to say it. And this beautiful one-page description of this person is often like, Sally, who's 35 to 55. She has 3 kids. She makes $500,000 a year. She's divorced, et cetera, right? And the challenge with that is it kind of mashes together 3 key things: your target market, your ideal client, and your niche. And the thing is, most people, when they teach marketing, teach those 3 things, those 3 terms, as if they're interchangeable. Target market, ideal client, niche, or niche if you come from the northeastern portion of the United States, right? The challenge is when you try to sort of lump them all together into an avatar client, you miss a lot. And they actually conflict with each other. They don't really help you to focus the way you want. I actually saw one guy, he teaches some courses on LinkedIn, actually. His favorite thing to put into the client breakdown is what their favorite television show is. Now, that can be a great tactic if you are marketing to people who watch a specific type of television show and you want it, and you're like, oh, I'll just go put my videos in front of all of the YouTube videos of the reruns of that show, right? But it doesn't really connect you relevantly to your market. You still have to figure out what's relevant. So I don't want to bash on traditional marketing. Marketing is important. And what you're going to learn tonight will help you make all of the marketing that you do far more effective. You need to do marketing. Marketing is important. You need good people to help you do marketing correctly. And you need a foundation that will allow you to take your marketing to the next level, to make it relevant to the people that you're talking to. So I want to define my terms a little bit. I told you that ideal clients, target market, and niche shouldn't all just be lumped together. So, well, what do they mean? What are they? So here's how we define them when we use the Book Yourself Solid system. Okay. An ideal client, the way you define an ideal client, has nothing to do with their externals. It has nothing to do with their circumstances. So it's not how much money they make. It's not where they live. It's not their age group. It's not what body parts they may or may not have. It's internal. And a number of folks will go, oh, you mean psychographics? Not really. It's 3 things. Your ideal client is defined by the beliefs, the values, and the behaviors present in a person that allows you to do your best work with them. So not just beliefs, values, etc., but specifically beliefs, values, and behaviors that allow you to do your best work with a person. That's what makes them an ideal client. Okay. Well, how do I figure out values and beliefs and when I don't know necessarily where to start? If you don't know where to start, that's fine. Here's a tip. Look in the mirror. Your ideal client is not going to look exactly like you, but their values and beliefs are going to need to at least, if not be the same as yours, they need to at least align or be able to come alongside with yours, right? So for some people, as an example, if you voted for the wrong political candidate, they can't work with you, right? That's not one for me. I don't really care who you voted for. I do care why necessarily, right? But if we can get along, if your political differences and my political differences don't affect how we work together, then it doesn't affect whether you're an ideal client for me. But what does make you an ideal client is being able to work with somebody who voted differently than you, right? Or, for example, valuing professional advice. As an example, most of the time when I ask people, who's your ideal client, I will get like Sally, Susie, whatever my example was, she makes $500,000 a year. Why do people always say they make X dollars a year or they have X dollars a year in revenue? Well, quite frankly, if you ask, it almost always comes down to, well, they need to be able to afford me. They need to have enough money to pay for my services, right? Well, here's a tip. It doesn't matter how much money they have if they don't value who you are and what you provide. They could have billions of dollars in their bank account. If they don't value who you are and what you provide, they'll never give you any of it. Whereas a person who is kind of maybe going to have to push a little bit to get to your price tag, but values you enough, they'll go out and find a way to make it happen, right? So we want to talk about those values, those beliefs, and those behaviors. Okay. So that's your ideal client. The type of person, in short, that you can do your best work with. Type of person, not business. Businesses don't buy from anybody. It's always people. Okay. So what's your target market then? Well, your target market is quite simply where we're targeting your marketing. Here's the thing. We have 3 resources that we have available to us as business owners or professionals. All of them are limited to a certain extent. Time, money, and energy. Right? So if we're going to invest our time, our money, and or our energy into marketing, we want to leverage them and get the highest possible rate of return or return on investment ROI, right? The best way to do that is to have a narrow target market. But this is important. Do not confuse target market specificity, i.e. being very specific about your target market, and target market exclusivity. This is why most people reject the idea of a target market or a very narrow target market. They're like, well, I'll be turning away people that I can help. Here's the thing. No, you won't. I'll explain to you how this all works together in just a minute or two. But when you get really specific on a target market, and I'm skipping ahead like 5 slides. But anyway, when you get really specific on a target market, you get known as a category authority in that market. And then you have people who come up to you and go, I know you normally work with plumbers in Southwest Wisconsin. And, I'm a gas fitter in Michigan. Do you think you could help me? And then you are being asked to make an exception and you get to decide, are you willing to make that exception or not? And if you're me, or if you're taking my advice, you will do that by using the filter of, are they your ideal client? And we'll get into that in a minute. So if ideal client is the type of person you do your best work with, and your target market is just where you're targeting your marketing, what's a niche or a niche? I'm going to say niche because I'm not from New Jersey, right? Well, for us, for our purposes, your niche is simply the solution you provide, the unique solution you provide, i.e. what it is you sell. Okay. It's not the way most people traditionally define niche, but that's how we're going to use it tonight. Cool. All right. So if we have those 3 things, how do they work together? Well, here you go, right here on the slide. They overlap. If you have an ideal client, the type of person that you do your best work with, I don't know why I'm using my hands when I can actually just grab my laser pointer and go, when you have an ideal, maybe I can grab my laser pointer. There we go. When you have an ideal client, they're the type of person you do your best work with, and they need what you sell. They need the solution you provide, and they're in your target market. Where they all overlap, that's your target client. And that's what an avatar client or client avatar or any number of different names that people will use in marketing. When you try and come up with that one-shot description, this is what you're trying pretty much to describe, is your target client. But it's important to keep these three things separate in how you think of them, because you can help people that aren't in here. Let me tell you a little bit about how. So how do they all work together? Give you an example. Let's say your ideal client has certain beliefs and values. Great. You help plumbers, that's your target market. You help plumbers in Northern Alberta. Okay. Plumbers in Northern Alberta, you help them train their apprentices faster, right? So you help plumbers in Northern Alberta train their apprentices faster, and they have certain beliefs and values that make them a great client for you. So you put out an ad, maybe it's a Facebook ads, targeting Northern Alberta, targeting plumbers in Northern Alberta who have apprentices, right? And you start getting phone calls. Great. Phone calls are what we want. But this guy calls up and he says, hi, yeah, I'm a plumber in Northern Alberta, and I'm interested in what you do. You're like, great. Do you have apprentices? And he says, no. Well, that's great. He's an ideal client. You've talked to him. You find out he has the values that would make him an ideal client. And he's in your target market. He's a plumber in Northern Alberta, but he doesn't need what you sell. You can't help him. So don't try. Never try to sell something to someone that doesn't need it. It doesn't work very well. Okay. All right. Well, let's say we get a different phone call. Let's say we get someone who is a plumber in Northern Alberta. They call you up and you're like, okay, dude, do you have apprentices? Before we go anywhere, do you have apprentices? And they're like, yes, I've got 4. Excellent. Let me talk to you a little bit more about my beliefs and values and whatnot, and your beliefs and values. And it turns out he actually is not an ideal client. It turns out he believes really that he should be able to just throw an apprentice in a truck and let them go out by themselves. And it's just these stupid laws that prevent him from doing that. And it's really annoying. And training is actually just a minimal, like an expense that he wants to minimize. Well, you know what? That's not an ideal client for you. Should you help that guy? Well, the answer is no. You should not help someone. Yeah, he's in your target market. Yeah, he needs what you sell. But if he's not an ideal client, you shouldn't help him. Here's why. Because if you do try to help him, you take his money, you're not going to be able to do your best work with him. What does that mean? Well, it means that A, you're probably going to be frustrated because you're going to be trying to get him to do the work. He's not going to be doing it. He's probably going to be frustrated because you can't do your best work with him. He's not going to get the best results from you. He's going to get so-so results. And guess what happens when someone works with you and gets so-so or worse results? How many people do you think they go out and tell how wonderful you are? The answer is not many. In fact, probably 0. They're probably telling everybody and their friends that working with you is a bad idea, right? So it hurts them, it hurts you, and it hurts your reputation. So don't help people that are not ideal clients, even if you need the money. Because quite frankly, you'll make more money helping ideal clients. Now, that being said, we can relax the red velvet rope policy a little bit. We can go, well, you're an 80% ideal client. Maybe I can work with you, right? If we need to, we can adjust that. But primarily, if someone's not an ideal client or close to it, you shouldn't work with them. All right. You're like, this is ridiculous. I need to I'm going to tighten up my Facebook ads a little bit. I'm going to get a little more focused. I'm going to talk to an online marketing strategist like Tony Gaffey, and she's going to dial it in for me. And you put out those ads, and now you get a phone call from somebody and they say, hi, I'm a plumber and I have some apprentices and I need some help training them. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Let's talk. Are you a decent human being or are you a dumpster fire of a human being? Turns out, decent human being, ideal client. Great. And then you say, well, that's awesome. That's great. By the way, because here's a tip. If you if you're running a business and you have people calling in or you get referrals, you should always ask this question. By the way, where did you hear about me? And he says, well, I was referred by someone who has worked with you in the past. And you go, oh, wait, hold on. You mean you didn't see my highly targeted Facebook ads? He's like, no, I'm not on Facebook. Well, you're an ideal client for me and you need what I sell, but you're not where I'm targeting my marketing. I'm sorry, I can't work with you. No, you don't say that because you're not an idiot. If someone is an ideal client and they need what you sell and they're outside of your target market, it is okay for you to say, you know what? I can work with you. Maybe the guy's not a plumber. He's an electrician in Northern Alberta and he has apprentices. And he's like, yeah, I saw that you helped a plumber with his apprentices. Is there any way you can train my electrical apprentices? And you go, well, you know what? I'm training in plumbing technicalities, so probably not. Right. So that's a time where you can say, no, that's not my deal, because they don't actually need what you sell, because he needs help with electrical apprentices, not plumbing apprentices. So you can make that decision. But maybe it's like, well, I'm just teaching them how to behave professionally, how to come to a client's house, how to check the work order, how to, et cetera, et cetera. You know what? Yeah, I think I can do that. Right. You can help people who are your ideal clients that need what you sell, even if they're not in your target market. Okay. So review. How do they all work together? If they are your ideal client, they're in your target market and they need what you sell, then they are what we call a target client. They're perfect and they will probably raise their hands and work with you, as long as you know how to do your pricing and how to have a super simple sales conversation. Okay. If they don't need what you sell, you can't help them. So stop trying. If they do need what you sell, they are in your target market, but they're not an ideal client, you probably shouldn't help them. In fact, the best thing you can do here is refer them to somebody that can help them, that is an ideal fit for them. This is where co-opetition comes in, right? If you are a hypnotherapist and you don't do weight loss, and somebody comes to you and says, hey, you know what, I'd like to try hypnotherapy. Well, what's your problem? Weight loss. You're like, you know what? Not really my ideal client. I could potentially help you, but there's this other hypnotherapist that I know who specializes in weight loss. I think you'd probably be better off with them. Make that referral. It's going to get you points with the prospect. It's going to get you points with your competition, as long as you've checked and made sure that they're a decent human being, right? We check these people out in advance, and everything. And it's going to keep you from doing something that you're not really thrilled about doing, right? On the other hand, if they're an ideal client and they need what you sell, whether they're in your target market or not, you can help them if you want to. Okay, Joss, well, this is great. So what you're saying is the target market doesn't matter as long as they're an ideal client that needs what I sell. So why am I even focusing on a target market? What's the point? Well, as I mentioned before, focus matters. It will get you more clients, believe it or not, because roughly when you narrow in, you make yourself that category authority, which, by the way, is much easier to be a category authority in a narrow market than it is to be in a broad market. If you try to say, I am the expert on training apprentices throughout the trades, every single tradesperson is going to say to you, dude, you know, plumbing and electricians and carpenters do not do the same thing. It is unlikely you are an expert for all trades. Right. Whereas if you go, I'm an expert on electrical apprentices, you will get plumbers and carpenters going, yeah, you said electrical apprentices, but do you think anything that you do could actually help my apprentices? They'll ask you to make that exception. Okay. The other thing, the way the numbers work out is this. If you are narrowly focused, roughly 40 to 60% of your clients will come from your target market. That's it. Half. The other half will come from adjacent target markets, i.e. other trades, if we're going to continue the trades example, and some will come from out of the blue. It'll be like, I'm not a tradesperson, but I teach at a school for plumbing. Could you help us out? right? Or, hey, listen, you do some great training stuff. I've got a sales team that could use some help with training. And I saw that you talk about how to approach the client and how to have a good conversation, et cetera. Do you think you could take that part of it and teach? Like those types of things will be asked of you. So don't worry about excluding the people that you're supposed to work with by narrowing your target market. Okay. What happens with a target market when you get really focused in on it is that all of them, or the vast majority of them, are going to have the same needs and desires. One of the biggest challenges when I'm talking with coaches and consultants is we'll ask them, well, who can you help and what do you help them with? And they say, well, I can help anyone. My technique works with anyone, right? I can massage anyone. I can hypnotize anyone. I can do books for anyone. Okay. But what do they need? Well, you know what? It depends. That's the key, right? We start going, well, what do you help them with? How do you help them achieve whatever? Like, well, it depends, because there's a lot of different things that they might need or want. Well, it's really hard to sell. It depends. It's really hard to be clear to people what you do and why they should buy from you when the answer is, well, it depends, right? So if you can narrow down your target market to the point where everyone in that target market shares one or a combination of maybe as many as 3 specific needs or desires, that's great, because you can show up and you can always speak to those needs and desires, those primary needs and desires that they have, right? The other part of being focused is it helps you to answer 3 questions: where, who, and you. What do you mean where? Those aren't questions, Josh. Those are words. Great. Where? Where does my target market gather? Because it's a lot easier to sell to a group of people that need what you sell than to go hunt them all down individually, right? So if you're a target market that gathers, that recognizes themselves as a group, they don't have to recognize themselves as your target market. They just have to recognize themselves as a group. If they gather, you can answer, where is that? If you're focused, you can answer, where is that? If you can't, if you're like, I don't know where they gather, I don't know if they even talk to each other, probably not a good focused target market. Okay. Second question, who? Who do they take advice from? Or what existing networks of communication do they have? Right? Who are they listening to? Who's going to tell them, hey, this is where you need to go to get the best XYZ? Those are people that you're going to want to go talk to. Again, if you're not focused enough, it'll be like, well, it depends. Some might take advice from here. Some might take advice from there. Some might take advice from there. Some might do paper newsletters, for goodness sakes. The others are on Facebook groups. Like, if you're narrow enough in your target market, the majority of them are going to be talking to the same people and listening to the same messages, which allows you to leverage that, or hijack if you prefer. Third question, you. How do you show up so that they know you're there to serve them and only or primarily them? If you have a narrow target market, you can answer that question by looking at those needs and desires that you answer. When you show up speaking the language of that narrow group, they're going to go, this person knows me. This person knows my world. This person knows my problems, and I think they can help me solve it. If you don't have a narrow target market, if you don't know how to answer these questions, sorry, my pointer's everywhere. If you don't know how to answer those questions, you're just sort of shouting in a breeze. You're doing the shotgun approach. And the shotgun or scattergun or throw mud at the wall approach is a great way to blow your entire advertising budget with 0 results. Okay. So, all right, if I'm going to get a narrow target market, Josh, well, what does that do? Well, when we focus it down like this and you answer these questions, what it does, it allows you to create a very powerful tool. And that very powerful tool is something we call the who and do what statement. Who you help and what you help them do. It's very clear. It's very succinct. And it is basically your target market and that biggest result you get for them based on their needs and desires. And you want that focus, that what you help them do should never be process. So If you're an HR consultant, you don't say, I help entrepreneurs with putting together a program to make sure that their people are happy and fulfilled and doing well at work. First of all, entrepreneurs is too broad. Let's get that narrow target market, right? I help, let's see, what's a random? I help insurance billing companies lose fewer man hours to sick employees every year. Right? Not the greatest example, but it is one, right? Well, really? How do you do that? Well, what we do is most companies that lose a lot of man hours to sickness calls, generally there's something going wrong in the culture or the environment. People are actually getting sick because they're not taking care of themselves well, or they feel pressured to come into work when they're sick and they're spreading that around, those types of things. Or they're calling in for mental health days because, you know what, the office kind of is a crappy place to be and their coworkers are kind of jerks. And so what I do is sit down with them and set it up so that their employees want to be there, are there when they're healthy, and are doing the best possible work when they're there. So the employer gets the maximum dollar value from having those employees there. And they have happy employees, something like that, right? Who you help, what you help them do. Another example, when I'm talking about the Profit for Coaches brand, I help good coaches make great profits, right? Something like that. How's that? Well, because I know who my target market is, I know their needs and desires. Okay. So that's kind of a fundamental that you need to have before you go out marketing. You need to know who you help and what you help them do. You need to have in the back of your head clearly defined for yourself what makes an ideal client. You never have to tell anybody else what makes an ideal client, but you need to know who they are and how to filter for it. And you need to know how to clearly tell your target market what you do for them. Okay. So if you know those things, then what I'm going to teach you in the next 15 minutes will get you a ton of clients. If you don't know these things, what I'm about to teach you will probably still help you get more clients, or at least more prospects, but it's not going to be nearly as effective. So before I get into exactly how to do this, I want to cover one other thing: mindset. Why your mindset matters. If you don't believe in what you're doing, or if you don't like working with the types of people that you're marketing to, you will sabotage yourself. And I don't care where you are on the woo-woo scale. Like, you can be a hard science person, you can be we're all the universe is energy and we create everything with our thoughts. Does not matter. The fact is, if you have conflicting thoughts and fears about your intention, you will self-sabotage. Or even if you don't self-sabotage, if you don't like that term, or you don't believe that exists, you just won't be as effective. Scientifically proven. We've done experiment after experiment, study after study. If you are conflicted, you don't fully commit and you don't get as good results as you can. So if you say, as an example, my intention, the reason I'm here tonight watching Joss flap his gums is because I want to get book solid. I want to get book solid, and I want to do it in a way that only takes 15 minutes of work a day. Please tell me how to do that. And then you immediately think, yeah, but I don't want to get like this book solid thing. What is solid exactly? I don't want too many clients, right? You immediately have that. I don't want too many clients. Or you immediately have, yeah, but you know what? Book solid, 15 minutes a day is great, as long as I'm not like have to be salesy about it or pushy or like, annoy people. I don't want to be a sleazy person, right? Conflicting thoughts. Underneath them, there's always a fear, right? Well, if you're worried about being sleazy, you're afraid of being judged. And that's fine. We are wired to fit into society, because back in the day, being kicked out of society, if we didn't fit in, was a death sentence, right? So that fear is a absolutely legitimate fear. but you need to recognize that it's there and then do something about it. Here's my example for what you can do about it. If your fear is, I don't want to be a sleazy salesperson, I don't want to be I'm worried about being pushy, I don't want to, great. A thing that I say a lot, if you are the type of person who is worried about coming off as sleazy or pushy or annoying other people with your sales or marketing, you probably don't need to. Because the people who are annoying jackasses, all of them lack the self-awareness to worry about coming across as an annoying jackass. So if you're worried about coming across as sleazy, you're probably not going to. Okay. So we can deal with that conflicting thought. The conflicting thought of, well, I don't want to be too busy. Well, the underlying fear there is that I'm going to lose control of my time. I'm going to be a slave to my business. I'm already too be like, I have a lot of folks that come to me and they're already working 60, 70% capacity. Maybe not with clients, but with the time that they put in because they're doing all of this hardcore inefficient marketing and stuff and not getting the clients that they want. And they're like, man, if I actually get more clients, I'm going to be too busy. I'm going to be working 80 hours a week. And they don't want that, right? If I just help you add 30%, you're at 100% capacity, you hate me, right? So it's a legit conflicting thought. So we look at, all right, well, my fear of losing my time, losing control of my day, being a slave to my business. Well, we can fix that by saying, well, we're going to get book solid, not just with any clients. We're going to get book solid with ideal clients, which are the kind of clients I do my best work with, which are the kind of clients that are going to pay well enough that I don't have to have tons of them. And I'm going to be using a system that means in 15, maybe 30 minutes a day, if I want to get aggressive about it, is going to bring me in all the clients that I need to be book solid, right? So we can answer these conflicting thoughts and these fears, but first we got to know what our intention is. We got to know what the conflicting thoughts are and examine the fears. Mindset matters. I'm not going to get any deeper into this other than to let you know that there are tools for this. I teach a lot of them. All right. You ready? Joss has flapped his gums long enough. Here's the reason that you're all here. How to get book solid in 15 minutes a day. The things that you can do in your bathrobe if you want. You're going to need some things. We have some assumptions. For this to work best, you're going to need 4 things. Number 1, you're going to need an email account. You've probably already got this, but here's a tip. If your email address ends in Yahoo, Google, Gmail, TELUS, or your phone company, you want to change that. Nothing says, don't bother investing in me because I couldn't even invest in a decent domain name for $2.99 faster than you can email me at pinkfluffybunnies@yahoo.com. Get a professional email address. Okay. Have an email account. You're going to need to be able to send the occasional email. You're going to need a contact management system. Now, all this is a way to keep track of who you're talking to and their contact information. It can be a spreadsheet. It can be a box of 3x5 cards. Actually, it's one of the best ways to do that at times. Robin has a box of 3x5 cards. Right? It can be that, or it can be Pipedrive. It can be Confusionsoft. It can be Keep. It can be whatever tool you want. The big challenge here is don't get caught up in the tool. The best tool is the one that you'll use, but you just need a way to sort of keep track of who it is you're talking to. Okay. Number 3, you're going to need an email marketing system of some kind. That might be your email account. That's fine. Or it might be something like MailerLite or Aweber or MailChimp. It doesn't really matter. Constant Contact doesn't matter. Again, don't screw yourself up by going, oh, I need to have the right tools. An email account and a notebook will get the job done. But you just need to be able to contact people. You need to be able to keep track of how you're contacting them. Solo or large emails, doesn't matter. Most importantly, what you're going to need is a clear offer. You got to have something to sell people. If you don't know what you're selling people, you don't know what problem you're solving, ain't nobody going to buy from you. And yes, that was a double negative. No one will buy from you if you don't have something specific to sell them. Okay. So you need a clear offer. If you have those 4 things, this is going to do great things for you. This next slide is going to do great things for you. If you don't have these 4 things, we probably need to talk, because this is not going to be super helpful for you. All right. This is the simple version of what I sometimes refer to as the 5 things. When I say the 5 things, it's the 5 things that you need to do every day. Okay. But Josh, there's only 4 things on this list. Yes, it's the simple version. Just this is what we're going to need. Number 1, create a list of 100-ish people, between 90 and 120 is what I like to say, that you want to keep in touch with. If you don't know 100 people, that's fine. Start with 12 if that's what you got. But create a list of 100 people, or aiming towards 100 people. Call it your networking list. You can do this on a spreadsheet. You can do this with 3x5 cards, right? You want to put them in this order, or what you want to put them. You want to put their name. You want to put how you contact them. So phone number, email address, social media account. I don't care. Whatever ways that you contact them. And then you want some room for some notes. That's it. That's all you need. Except the date you last contacted them. Okay. Now, if you're using the index cards or recipe cards in a box, you don't need the date, because I'm going to tell you what you do in a second. If you're using a spreadsheet, you want to do it by date last contacted for a reason, because if you're using a spreadsheet, you then sort them by date last contacted. The person you contacted most recently goes at the bottom or the back. The person you contacted least recently goes to the top or the front. Okay. There's a reason for that. We'll get into that in a minute. So you have your networking list of 100 people, or some number of people, aiming between 90 and 120 at some point. Okay. Then what we do is every day, here's the first 3 things of the 5 things we do every day. Okay. Number 1, take the person who's at the front or the top of your list, the person that has been the longest since you have talked to them, and send a note to them, or make a phone call, or send a postcard, or send a gift and a message. And that message says this, some variation on thinking of you. Hey, I was thinking about you. Thought I'd say hi. Or if you've been in contact for a while, it's, how was your daughter's recital? How was your son's ice dancing competition? How was your dog's last trip to the vet? Something that matters to them. Okay. And you're just saying hi. That's all you're doing. You're saying something nice. You're sharing your compassion, the fact that you care about them. What you do not do is say, when can we get together for a coffee? Or want to jump on Zoom sometime? You don't demand anything of them. You don't ask anything from them. You simply say, hey, I was thinking about you. You're showing up in their life in a positive manner. You're sharing your compassion with them. Okay. And when you do that, you then move them to the bottom of the list or the back of the box. Okay. So that's the first thing. Excuse me. Second thing, share your knowledge. Find an article or a meme or a blog post or a video, something that is cool, that is worth watching or seeing or reading, and share it with the next person on your list or someone on your list that would be interested in it. So let's say you found an article on how to cut 10 strokes off your golf game, and you know that Bob, who's in your list, loves golf, and he also sucks at it. Send him that article. Hey, Bob, saw this, thought of you, and move Bob to the bottom of your list. Now, Bob doesn't have to have been at the top of the list. Preferably he was in the top half, but you just, wherever he is, you move him to the back of the list and you note that you sent him that article. Why do you note that you sent him that article? Well, because that same article, you might have 5, 6, 10, 20 people on your list that like golf. You can send them the same article. Don't send them all on the same day. Sort of space it out, right? But either way, you move them to the back. What you don't want to do is send the same article to the same person like 3 times and be like, dude, you really just are not paying attention. Okay. Number 3, your network. Share your network. Introduce 2 people that you know to each other. Now, if you are a professional networker, if you're a member of a networking group, like Business Networking International or any of those types of groups, you'll be familiar with this concept of a referral. But you don't have to do this as a business referral. You can just introduce 2 people that have the same interests. Turns out there's a guy on your list who loves to speak Klingon, studied it, has the uniform and everything, big Star Trek geek, and you meet somebody else who is a prospect or is just another person, and they speak Klingon too. Great. Bob, meet Susie. Susie, meet Bob. You're the only two Klingon speakers I know, and it's past time I introduced you. Good luck. They don't have to get along. They don't have to, you don't tell them they have to have coffee with each other. No pressure. Just thought maybe you'd like to get to know each other. And then you move whichever one or both of them that were on your list to the bottom of the list. Why do we move them to the bottom of the list? Because here's the thing, as you cycle through, you will touch all of them within a certain period of time. That's 3 people. If you do 3 people a day, every day for 30 days, that's 90 people. There's your list of 90. You will touch each person in that box or on that list at least once a month, which builds up your relationship with them. It strengthens your relationship with them. You keep showing up in their lives when you don't need anything from them. When you're not asking anything from them, you are simply giving value. And when you do that, the law of reciprocity kicks in. What's the law of reciprocity? People feel guilty if you give them too much stuff and they don't get a chance to give back to you. We don't do it because of that. We're not trying to manipulate people. But when you show up positively in people's lives, they start going, man, this person's a positive in my life. I'd really like to help them in some way. And they'll ask you, hey, how can I help you? Or they'll look for ways. Or when you do show up with an ask and tell them, hey, man, I need this, or hey, could you introduce me to this person? They're like, yeah, absolutely. You're a good person. I'd like to help you out. Okay. And why do they think you're a good person? Because you've been a good person to them. Because you're showing up in their life positively when you don't need or want anything from them. You're not being a manipulative jerk. You're actually giving space in your brain, space in your heart, space in your network to these people. Okay. All right. So that's the first 3 things you need to do every day. The other thing you're going to need, though, is we need to create a list of strangers, a list of 20 strangers, and not just any strangers, but people that could help your business. This could be potential referral partners. This could be potential whale clients. This could just be people that by having them in your toolbox could help you give a better experience to your clients, right? So we're strategic about them. It might be Oprah Winfrey. It might be a politician. It might be the person who books the speakers for whatever the trade show is that happens for your target market every year in your town, right? That you don't know. It's got to be someone you don't know, right? So you have this list of 20. And what you do is every day you pick the top name on the list and you reach out to them. Send them a connection request on LinkedIn. Send them a letter. Send them a book. Send them an email. If you don't have a direct connection, you don't know how to get to them, do some research and take a step that gets you one step closer to connecting with them. For example, go stalk them on social media, find out where their social media account is. Or, this is a great one, buy a ticket to an event that they do, right? There's nothing wrong with buying people's time. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, you know what would be a great referral source for me? Tony Robbins. And he's coming to town for his whatever event in 2 months. I'm going to buy the VIP pass that gets me up front where he talks to people and a dinner meeting with him. And then you get to talk with him you get the dinner meeting, maybe you only talk to him for 5 minutes, but now you have a relationship with him and you can move him to your list of 100, right? And you just do that. You may never hear back from these people. That's fine. Until you do, they stay on your list of 20. And about every 6 months, you reevaluate your list of 20 and go, okay, this person has never talked to me. I'm going to take them off the list or I'm going to leave them on because I'm going to bug them and eventually get there. But you don't want to be as annoying. You don't want to fanboy on them or fangirl on them. You want to treat them professionally, but you want to give yourself a list of people that you are targeting to go after strategically to build a relationship with. One a day. Okay. 4th thing that you're going to need to do simply is make a sales offer every day. You can do that by sending something out to your entire subscriber base. If you're using something like a MailerLite or something like that, saying, hey guys, here's a chance to work with me today. Or you can do it in a one-to-one prospect meeting. You can say, hey, you know what, Bob? Every time we've talked, you've complained about how you hate smoking. And you know that I fixed that problem. Would you like me to fix that for you? And give them a chance to say yes or no. Give them a chance to move one step closer to buying from you every single day. If you do that, even just 5 days a week, the 20 working days in a month, you will have made 20 sales offers this month. I will almost guarantee you that's at least 10 more offers than you've made in any other month, if left to your own devices. The vast majority of business owners don't make enough sales offers. Make one a day. Don't be pushy. Don't be salesy. Don't be like, hey, 20% off. You don't have to, hey, here's an incentive. Just like, hey, man. You know, Catherine, you and I have talked a lot, and you've said, you know, that you'd really love to have more clients. I would love to help you have more clients. Would you like my help? And if Catherine says, hey, you know what, Joss, you know what? No, thanks. I've got another coach. Great. She said no. That was an offer. That's all it takes. Okay. So simple version, but I'm going to give it to you even simpler. Here's the super short version. It's the 5 things. Make your list of 100, make your list of 20. And then every day, it takes about 15 minutes to do this every day. Say something nice to someone, move them to the bottom of your list. Share something good with someone, move them to the bottom of your list. Make an introduction to somebody, move them to the bottom of your list. Write to a stranger, move them to the bottom of your list of 20, and make a sales offer. You do these 5 things every single day. For the next 60 days, I will make you a guarantee. And given the amount of money that you have spent to be here tonight, which is $0, it's pretty much a worthless guarantee. But I will tell you this, if you do these things, 5 things every day, at least Monday to Friday, I don't care if you don't work weekends. If you do these things every day for the next 60 days and you don't have more clients, call me, email me. I will jump on a Zoom call with you and I'll figure out why. Okay. So congratulations. Now you know the 5 things. You know exactly what you're supposed to do. Now what? Well, for a lot of you, that's going to be all you need. You're going to take these 5 things. You're going to do them every single day for the next 60 days. You're going to wind up with a bunch more clients. You're going to be happy about it. Great. You can do this yourself. You got this. Go you. But what if you need a little bit more? What if you like what I had to say, but you're like, man, that was fast. That was a lot. There's a lot of depth here. Or I don't have that clear offer, or I'm not clear on who my target market is. I'd like more help with that. Great. I'm doing a group program. We're starting Monday, actually. Guaranteed you will make at least double your investment back by the end of the program, or I'll work with you personally one-on-one until you do. Can't go wrong. Go to bit.ly, PFCBS as in Profit for Coaches Booked Solid, bit.ly/PFCBS. That'll take you to the page. You can scroll through, get more information about how it works, and sign up for it if you want. That's it. That's the sales pitch. If you don't want to do that, or you don't know what you want, if you've been like, Joss, this is cool, I'm not sure if I can apply it, whatever, that's great. We're going to do some Q&A after this, but if you're watching the recording and don't get to see the Q&A, go to joss.as.me/whatnext. Book a 20-minute call with me. It is not a sales call. It is not a free coaching call. We'll just talk about where you at and what might be the next best thing for you. And I will give you my perspective on what I think is the best thing for you to do, whether that's working with me, working with somebody else, or the one thing you can go DIY yourself. The important thing is this. You don't have to do this by yourself. You don't have to feel confused. You don't have to feel stuck. If you do these 5 things, you're going to get more clients. If you don't feel prepared to do these 5 things, or you feel like you need help, or you want to go deeper, or you're just feeling like, I want to talk to somebody about this, you got 2 options. I'm here to help. And that's what I got. Robin?
Thank you so much, Joss. It was awesome. Really, really great. So yeah, if anybody has any questions, we'll make sure that Joss's contact information is in the video as well and in the description. So reach out. And again, thank you so much, Joss. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.